What's up guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video I wanted to discuss the question of what is God? What is God? And so I decided today I'm going to do these vlog style videos where I am it's close to my church. I don't know if you can see it, so it's right behind here. So this is where I go to church. It's full gospel, and I wanted to start my video here, and my question was, what is God? So I'm going to go around talking to people, and I'll ask them the same question. Who do they think is God? Who is this person who we are describing as God? Let's get to it. Kuulize, kwako God anamaanisha nini?
God. Unajua kuna ile time so feel ako low. Hiyo time yenyewe hapo friend anaweza kudiscourage. Lakini mimi najua experience niko nayo, God is kudisappoint.
So God ni yule msemo mwenye huwa hadisappoint.
Hawezi.
Mungu ni yule mtu mwenyewe anakuokoleanga tu. Hadi hakuna, yani hahitaji kitu yoyote ili akuokolee. Ako tu hapo hivyo tu.
So I came here to Pariski Hotel and I bought tea and some mandazis. So you can see the mandazis here. So I'm going to be taking a taste of them and taking the tea, and I'll be telling you how well it tastes. So let's see. Let's find out. It always tastes better every time I try it.
Majina naitwa Sylvester Mogo.
Unapiga chini.
Mimi napenda chini.
Naona misuli.
Mimi niko sawa. Ukiona.
Unapiga boss moja tu.
Niko fit.
So nikuulize Mungu. Kwako Mungu anamaanisha nini?
Mimi kwangu Mungu anamaanisha kila kitu. Hakuna kitu unaweza fanya bila God. Mimi nasema one thing, wenye hawaamini Mungu ni watu wenye hawana knowledge of Bible and they don't have wisdom of God.
So the other amazing thing about this street that I am on is that there are so many churches on it. So you can see on this side there is that's SEK, and on the other side you can see where the Catholic Church is. You can see the blue building there. So that's where the Catholic Church is. So this road, and if you go this way and then Pandeju, there is the PCA Church. So this place has a lot of churches. I wanted to explain God, and many people have many views and they say God is this, God is this, God is this. But what does God mean for me? And to explain, I'm going to tell a story. So imagine that long ago, as human beings were evolving, that there was a group of let's say 500 unevolved human beings. So let's just call them monkeys. So imagine that there were 500 monkeys. So you can see where I am. So this is a cliff. It's located at Kwairia in Mafo. It's a very beautiful cliff. So you can see behind me. So on the other side is the forest. So imagine that there were 500 monkeys, right? Now, these 500 monkeys, the first thing that's going to happen is that they are going to organize themselves in a hierarchy, right? And so some monkeys, it's going to be like a pyramid, right? Just a pyramid. And so some monkeys are going to be at the top of the hierarchy and others are going to be at the bottom, right? So the first thing they begin to ask themselves is, what are some of the qualities and what are some of the characteristics that make a monkey to end up being at the top of the hierarchy? What are some of the characteristics that make a monkey to end up being at the top, to end up being leading as the leader of all the other monkeys? So the other thing they do is that they notice is that it is the embodiment of certain characteristics, right? So embodying certain characteristics. So maybe being a good caretaker, being a good leader, being more responsible, being more honest, being a better manager, being a better provider. So some of these characteristics tend to elevate you on top of the monkey hierarchy, right? And so they begin to notice that it is not the monkey themselves who end up being at the top, but it is the embodiment of certain characteristics that make them end up being at the top. So if you embody leadership, you end up being at the top. If you embody being more responsible than others, you end up being at the top, right? As I've said, it is the embodiment of certain characteristics that make you end up being at the top. So the other thing that you have to notice is that now for you to formulate a God, then what you have to formulate in your mind is a person who embodies these characteristics in an infinite level, so much that they not only end up being at the top of the hierarchy, but they end up being outside the hierarchy. So what happens is, if it is that responsibility taken to an infinite degree and embodied to the maximum possible level. If it is honesty taken to the infinite degree and embodied on the maximum level. So first of all, it is infinite values. So honesty, goodness, selflessness, all those characteristics that make you a good person, embodied infinite characteristics. So the number of characteristics, first of all, is infinite, right? It's infinite, right? And then those characteristics are embodied to an infinite level, right? And so they are, and when embodied, they are embodied to an infinite degree. So God is a being who embodies infinite characteristics in an infinite level to an infinite degree, right? And so you have to imagine it in that way. So that is what the monkeys ask themselves. And so, but you see, that is an idea. So God is the thing that embodies infinite characteristics to an infinite level, and each characteristic to an infinite degree, right? So here where I am behind me in Kwa Chief. So if this building that's behind me. So huko ni Kwa Chief wa Mairone. Wow. Yeah. So that's the chief's office, basically. So that's God. But you see, we are talking about ideas, right? We are talking about a concept that there is this being who embodies infinite characteristics to an infinite level, and each characteristic to an infinite degree. So kama ni kupendana, if it is love, he embodies infinite amount of love, and in the most possible, in the highest degree possible. So yeye ndiye anaweza kupenda zaidi kuliko kila mtu, right? Na si tu mapenzi, anakona mapenzi, akona goodness, akona self control, akona so many characteristics that when you list them, you can't finish listing them. It's to an infinite level, right? And then you see, now that is a concept, that is what God is. But then you have to understand that we evolved in the savannah grasslands. We evolved seeing beings. We did not evolve seeing. So this is another church here behind me. A church up. Yeah, it's KG, Kenya Assemblies of God. That's another church. So I'm saying that we evolved with we did not evolve with concepts. We did not evolve with ideas. We grew up in the savannah grasslands, and in the savannah grasslands we grew up with beings, physical things. They had to be physical things that could be touched. So even though we developed a concept of God, we had to fit it under a being. And that's why anywhere you go in any community, ukienda kwa Kikuyu, they tell you that God is in Mount Kenya. It is the embodiment of those characteristics embodied under a specific thing, the Mount Kenya, right? When you go to the Buddhists, they'll tell you about Buddha, right? When you go to the Chinese, they'll tell you about their gods. When you go to the Hindus, they tell you about Krishna and other gods, right? So it's not just the idea itself. The idea itself is embodied inside a being. right? And so the Israelites had God, the God of hosts, like the Lord God described in Psalms 148:5, who created other beings, right? Who created other heavenly beings, right? The God who is described in Genesis, who created Adam and Eve, right? So if you go in any community, they'll tell you that they have a God, right? So God is a concept. But then this concept has to be embodied inside a structure that we can touch or we can see. So we call him a being. That's why he is embodied as a father or as a being that's exalted. So the thing is that it is an idea, it's an abstraction, but that abstraction has to be fitted within a thing that can be touched. So that's basically who God is.